Law number 12, the law of activation. A brand is worthless without perpetual and unceasing tactics and campaigns to get people to see and consider the brand. Having localized your brand to concern itself with the things your various target audiences care about, it's time to activate it. Turn those conceptual ideas into deliverables like campaigns and content and ads, internal talking points, interview questions, job posting language, review site response boilerplate, and everything in between. In short, this is probably the stuff your company was thinking it was getting when it agreed to an employer branding project. To them, everything up until this point has been an academic exercise. Speaking to staff, interviewing leadership, running focus groups, completing competitive audits. They're not interesting. They're not fun. They're not useful to them. But where all that thinking leads is interesting. The purpose of activation is to bring your brand thinking into the cold light of day, to stop talking about it in the abstract, but in terms that the candidate can see, read, and absorb. If you're trying to get strangers to think of your company as a place that will take care of its people, what will you show them? What will you tell them to change that perception? Not what will the material be about, but what will the material be? Now, this is hard because when you work in the abstract, people can hear it described, but will all have a completely different picture in their head than what you might have. This is the point at which all the abstractions fall away and everyone is looking at the ad, the website, the video, the job posting, or whatever, and they're all seeing the same thing. Now, there are two core jobs at this stage, and they happen roughly in order. First, this is everybody's chance to consider and evaluate the new brand as it goes out the door. Is this really what they wanted to tell candidates? Saying that you're dedicated to supporting your people is a fine brand promise, but now that you look at it in an ad, is it really creating meaningful differentiation? This is both a question of position, meaning is it the right brand, and creative. Did we express it the right way? Second, are you making good channel choices? You have a new brand, and you came up with some great headline that you love, and it looks great on a website, but does it make sense as a job posting, or as a LinkedIn post, or a TikTok video? As you bring your brand out, you got to consider the channel context when you're activating it. Activation isn't just essential because it turns the concept into creative that people can see and respond to, but because you can change the creative. You can change the activation as much as you want without diminishing the brand itself. Think of activation as a kind of fashion. The hemlines and lapels will change shape every year, but the person will always be either a winter or a summer, probably forever. That means that you should think of your activation as campaign-driven. How do we express the brand in a pre-COVID world, or during lockdown, in a world of hybrid work? How does your brand expression change when the business is growing versus a slowdown? You can change these ideas and messaging without changing the central ideas of the brand itself. Why this works. Looking back at the Coca-Cola example and a brand of happiness, you can't just have a commercial that says happiness. You can't repeat the word happiness over and over again until people started feeling happy. If they did, we'd all be standing in front of Jeff Bezos' house saying, "Give me $1 billion" over and over again until our bank accounts exploded. So what do? You build things. Ads, headlines, career site copy, videos, job postings, automated messages, outreach messages, social posts, you name it. And those things make people think and feel a certain thing. You connect that idea and the feeling to your brand. People don't see the ideas you're expressing. They see the things and infer those ideas. That's how you get people to believe that you care about something. They can see you talking about it everywhere and infer that that's what matters to you. Where this falls apart. This is the rubber meets the road part of brand development. This is where things get really real. And there are two very simple ways to screw it all up. Challenge 1, stakeholders. Let's assume that 90% of your stakeholders have a tenuous grasp on what a brand even is. Many of them think of a brand as a logo. See the law of perception. So when you say you're delivering the brand, they might have a surprising reaction to what you share. They may say that they don't like a tagline, or that they don't like a photo or a visualization. Hey, they might even say that they don't like that color. Trust me, I've been there, I assure you. This is why we do all the heavy lifting of defining what makes you different, the subjective value you offer, localizing it to the audience, because the line, the image, the color isn't for the stakeholders to evaluate. It's there to deliver a message, the brand, to your target audiences. They may not like the line, but let's be fair, that line will deliver the right message to the right person. When in doubt, or when in conflict, go back to the brand idea. Go back to the localization. Ask the person who's objecting, our only goal is to deliver this brand message to this audience. I understand that you have preferences, but my goal isn't to hire you. You already work here. My goal is to engage audience X with a message that's specific to our company. Do you think that this does not solve for that? That's how you challenge that kind of pushback. Challenge 2, textualism. For fellow fans of the movie Inception, you might remember the part where someone says that you can't tell someone an idea because if you do, it doesn't get absorbed. The idea needs to be created in someone's mind. That's why you can't say, you should just be happy and expect people to change their mood. People become happy or sad or angry all on their own. But so much employer branding content is, we care about our people, or we're focused on innovation, or we're changing the world. They're saying the equivalent of happy over and over again, hoping it makes people happy. Good activation sparks an idea in the viewer, in the reader. Look at Coke. Maybe 1 out of 10 ads use the word happiness. That means that 9 out of 10 ads are trying to spark the feeling of happiness without ever using the word. If you want to be known for innovation, it isn't enough to say you care about innovation. You have to show it. You have to show the thinking behind it. You have to show the failures and the blind alleys that lead to insight and eventually innovative work. You don't have to say innovation to get someone to think of it. In fact, you should probably avoid saying it at all. Try it this way. You could probably distill Moby Dick into a line like man versus nature and the poisonous nature of revenge. So is saying that the same as reading Moby Dick? If you read Moby Dick, won't you find far deeper meaning and connection to the book than if you just read the summary of its themes? Examples. Pinterest's employer brand content is a great example here. If you look at their career site and social media, the word empower isn't posted everywhere. Instead, they talk about how they're supporting people as they start businesses. They talk about ideas from anyone made for everyone, and gives organizations who are building new innovative mental health solutions the resources to scale their impact and ensure long-term success. They don't have to say the word empower much. They are working from an assumption that what they are doing is empowering and talk about that. It allows the reader to infer, to make the leaps on their own about what the brand cares about and what it offers.